Thanks, Linda. Our executive director, Tana Clues, wanted to be here, and because of the storm, she's in southern Maine. She called me yesterday afternoon and said, "Would you cover this?" And I said, "You mean drive to Presque and back?" She said, "No, it's up the street from your office." I'm Light Breen. My day job is as an executive at Bangor Savings Bank, but it's been my privilege to be a board member for many years of Educate Maine. Educate Maine is a business-led advocacy group that fights hard for both K-12 and higher education to take attainment levels in Maine to another level. The goal that we set last year as an organization for the state, and we've asked other stakeholders around Maine to join with us on, is to increase our post-secondary attainment, college degrees, industry certifications, to 50% a decade out, which we think will be pretty close where the rest of New England is. That's not going to be easy to do, and it's going to take leadership and innovation like what UMaine Presque is committed itself to do today to help the state get there. Educate Maine was the lead group in bringing together the coalition that lobbied for proficiency-based learning to be enacted in the Maine legislature several years ago. And we continue to want to be part of the fight to ask those tough questions of, now we've set that vision, how do we get there? So I'm really excited to be here for a number of reasons. And that is primarily because we're focused on the learner today. That's really the magic behind innovation in education, is not about all the structural constraints, the financial constraints, the organizational challenges that we all have to master, but to keep the focus always on the learner and build everything else that we're doing around the learner, both K-12 and post-secondary, and to stay focused on what the learner knows and is able to do. And that's what proficiency-based learning is all about. As a non-educator, I constantly have to learn the jargon that is current in education reform today. But at its root, make no mistake, that proficiency-based learning is really the natural continuation of what we've been working on for the last 15 or 20 years. And it's saying, we've raised the standards. We've committed Maine to really rigorous standards for our K-12 learners and now for our college learners as well. The critical question is, how do we get there? You can't get there just doing the same old thing the same old way and hope that somehow students respond differently and absorb the material. I was struck as I was thinking about this topic, watching and listening and reading about high performers in the Olympic Games and how those icons in these sports have redefined oftentimes how you prepare, let alone how you perform in these athletic events. It's not enough to just say, we've set a high standard, we want to win a gold medal. You've got to lay down a YOLO flip 1440 in order to win the gold medal. So you have to change what you're going to do, and you're going to have to change how you prepare in order to reach a higher bar. That's what defines success for many of these athletes. And frankly, this isn't easy stuff. We are asking college faculty and K-12 faculty to deliver YOLO flip 1440s in competition that they haven't done before. And to make that happen, it's critical that K-12 and higher ed be working together in preparing teachers, supporting teachers, dealing with students as they move through the continuum so that it's seamless for the students. And frankly, as important as anything else, communicating to parents and communities, this makes sense, we're in it together. One of the most exciting things about this to me is the scholarship program that Linda talked about, because that says in a very concrete way to parents and communities and kids who are wondering, what is this new approach? Will colleges understand these new types of transcripts that are reflecting standards-based proficiency learning? And Linda's sending a powerful message with her faculty. We get it, and not only do we get it, but we're rewarding it and encouraging it. That's a really powerful message to flow downhill to K-12. As Jim Ryer said, one of our biggest concerns at Educate Maine has always been the pieces of the education pipeline working well together. And to have this leadership from higher ed mobilizing K-12 across the county as well is really, really fantastic. When I talked last summer to the people in the Human Resources Department at Bangor Savings, the people that do our hiring day to day, I said to them, you know, what are the #1 issues you would want me to convey to K-12 school superintendents about what you need? And they said, real-world experience. Any real-world experience. And so the ability to apply what you're learning, which UMPI is committing itself to do with its students, is really, really important to the business community and to employers. And they said, coupled with that, the ability, when you go to apply for a job, to explain what you can do and to apply what you've already done to the skills required in the job you're seeking. And I said you would be amazed how many students and job applicants cannot do that. Even when they have relevant experience, they haven't learned how to convey that and to package it and apply it to a new circumstance. Proficiency-based learning and the kinds of programming that Linda's putting together to go with it helps those job applicants get to precisely where our HR department and HR departments around the state need them to get to. A couple of other quick things in closing. I'm really excited to be here today because it's also a great reminder of this, that leadership, excellence, and innovation doesn't just come from certain places in Maine. I was at Searsport High School on Monday, who has been a leader over the last 8 years in proficiency-based learning. They came to it out of necessity. They lost their high school accreditation, and they were saying to themselves, what do we do differently to take this to a different place? The community has embraced it. And I toured the program where they're working with high school kids on building boats down at the Hamilton Learning Center. So Hamilton Marine, the people who run Front Street Shipyard in Belfast, they're working with the schools on this proficiency-based stuff, just like will happen in the county. And here's the dirty little secret. You can't build a boat unless you know geometry. So they're tricking these kids, if you will, into mastering this stuff to levels that they may have never imagined. And so when you give kids an understanding of what they need to learn, and you give them some flexibility and options in how they learn it, magic can happen. We heard kids from Searsport High School present to our group a couple of years ago. And it was truly striking how the learners, the kids and the college students, I'm sure, take to this stuff. They really appreciate, here's what I have to master, here's the things I've already mastered, here's the pieces I still need to work on, and there's constant help and interventions in how I get there. It's not the exception. Well, you can go outside of class someday and ask for help if you need it. It's built into the philosophy that every learner is trying to master this stuff and master it in different ways, but they're not going to get away with it unless they master the subject. So excellence and innovation occurs in Searsport. It occurs in Jackman. It occurs in Guilford. I remember when we rolled out the Maine Learning Technology laptop program a few years ago, and when the state said we're going to do this, the people in little old Guilford, Maine said, hey, if being first is great for Maine, then being first is even better for our community in Guilford. And it's happening in Presque. We have these pockets of excellence and innovation. And I hope with the example that Linda's setting and that UMaine Presque is setting, that other college campuses and K-12 schools across the state will be inspired, they will be appreciative, and they'll have a beacon to say, we can do this, and we're partnering with higher ed to do it. So Educate Maine congratulates UMaine Presque. Congratulations to the Davis Foundation for recognizing this vision, and we hope this starts happening all over.